Music theory has a practical application to every song you're playing, learning, or writing. And there are 4 fundamental concepts that go through the mind of every songwriter, whether consciously or subconsciously. Knowing these concepts cold will transform your playing and your experience of learning piano because it gives you a deeper understanding of what you're doing and why you're doing it. The 4 concepts are the scale or key, chords, rhythm, and melody. Let's take Counting Stars by OneRepublic and break it down to its fundamental parts and see how music theory was used in creating the song. You'll be able to apply all these concepts to any other song you'll ever learn because these are the fundamentals to every single song. Let's get into it. A scale is just a combination of a couple notes that sound good together. There are a lot of notes on the piano, and if I play them at random, it won't sound good. Listen to this. Sounds good, but then what if I add this? These notes don't fit together. So a scale tells us that, okay, these 7 notes sound good together. So I can make a song out of it. If I play a note that's not in that scale, it's going to sound pretty bad. Listen to this. Or these 4 notes are not in the scale, so they sound really bad when I play them. So knowing the scale of your song is the first step because you need to know what notes you're allowed to play and what notes you're not allowed to play. So I'm going to teach you how to build all your major scales. Every note that you see on the piano has its own scale. So C major has a scale, C sharp has a scale, D sharp, they all have their own scales. And the first type of scale we're going to learn is the major scale. A major scale is made out of a couple steps, 2 whole steps, a half step, 3 whole steps, and then 1 half step. Now a half step is when you go from your starting note directly to the next note. So it's not skipping anything. From G sharp to A is a half step. From A to A sharp is a half step. From D to D sharp is a half step. From C to C sharp is a half step. From B to C is a half step because I'm not skipping anything. From E to F is a half step. And a whole step is when you skip a half step. So start on your note and you skip a half step, and that's a whole step. From G sharp to A sharp is a whole step. A sharp to C is a whole step because I'm skipping this half step, right? From B to C sharp is a whole step. From E to F sharp is a whole step. From C sharp to D sharp is a whole step, and so on. So a major scale is made out of whole steps and half steps. So let's build our first scale, the D major scale. We need 2 whole steps from this D. So 1, 2. So our first 3 notes is D, E, F sharp. Now we need a half step. That's a G. Now 3 whole steps. 1, 2, 3. Then a half step. Back to the D. This is the D major scale. Let's build the F sharp major scale. That's our root note or our starting note. Now we need 2 whole steps. 1, 2, half step. 3 whole steps. 1, 2, 3, then a half step. I want you to try to build the D major and the B major scales on your own and download the PDF in the description and see if you got it right. So let's take a look at our song, Counting Stars. This song is definitely in one of these 12 scales that we have. So just by listening to our song, I know that this song is in the E major scale. If you can't figure out something by ear, that's totally fine. That's a pretty hard skill to have. If you do a quick Google search, you'll see that the song is in the C sharp minor scale. And that's the same thing as the E major scale. We'll get to that theory another time. They're called relative minors and majors, but we'll learn about that another time. Just take it for granted that C sharp minor is the same thing as the E major. Now let's figure out the chords. So if you go online and you search up the chords to Counting Stars, there's this website called Ultimate Guitar Tabs, whatever, and it's really, really good for piano and guitar. Here it is. Here are the lyrics and here are the chords. If you don't know how to play these chords, this is C sharp minor. It gives you a diagram. That's how you play it. This is the C sharp minor, E major, B major, A major. Technically, you'd be able to play the song without any music theory knowledge, but you're missing so much information. Where did these chords come from? Why am I playing them? So that's why knowing your scale is important, and then knowing the chords that are in the scale is important too. Each note in the scale has its own chord. So the E has the E major chord, which is this. E major chord. Then we have the F sharp minor, G sharp minor. And the way you come up with these chords is you play the root note, which is the note that you're starting with, skip 1 note, and play the next note, skip a note, play the next note. That's your first chord, and this one's called E major. Play this note, skip 1, play the next one, skip 1, play the next one. F sharp minor, G sharp minor, Do the same thing with the A. That's the A major, B major, C sharp minor, D sharp diminished. Now I called some chords major and minor, and for now the only difference between a major and minor chord is the way they sound. Major sounds nice and happy, minor sounds dark and gloomy. There's a more in-depth reason to what makes a major or minor chord, but for now let's keep it simple. Now that we know the chords of the scale, when we look at the song, we're playing the C sharp minor, the E, the B, and the A. They're not random chords. We know these chords. The C sharp minor is the 6th chord in the scale. The E major is the 1st, B is the 5th, and A is the 4th. So the chord progression is 6, 1, 5, 4. Now why is that important to know? If I wanted to play the song in a different key, a different scale, I'll be able to do that, because just like there was a formula for the major scale, there's a formula to basically everything in music. In every single scale, the first chord will be major, the second chord will be minor, the third chord will be minor, fourth chord is major, fifth chord is major, sixth is minor, and then 7th is diminished. Let's go to the G major scale. First is major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, and then diminished, then goes back to the G major. So let's play counting stars in the scale of G major. The 6th is E minor, the 1st is G major, the 6th is D major, and the 4th is C major. Let's do a different scale. The A major scale. Major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished, major. The 6th is F sharp minor, then the 1, A major, and the 5, E major, the 4 is D major. Now that we know the scale, we know the chords, everything makes sense. Now we need rhythm. Rhythm makes the song so much better, because instead of just playing the chords like this, you could add more rhythm to it. You can make it sound like that just sounds way more interesting than just the boring one like that. So there are 4 basic note rhythms that we're going to talk about today. The first one is a whole note. You hold it down for 4 beats. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Each chord is being played in each section of music, so the melody will also follow that. It follows the chords, it follows that structure of 4 beats in each section of music. So if you have a whole note for your chords, you're just playing one chord the whole time for all 4 beats. The next one is a half note, and that's 2 beats long. So in a measure of 4 beats, you can have 2 half notes in each measure. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. The third note is called a quarter note, which is 1 beat. So you can have 4 in a measure of 4 beats. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. The last one we're going to talk about is called an eighth note, and that's half a beat. So you can have 8 eighth notes in a measure of 4 beats. This is how you would count it. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now I'll play that with a melody, but it won't sound that great. Now that we have all 4 types of rhythms out of the way, we can now mix and match the rhythms and make it sound pretty cool. The last concept you need to know is melody. The melody is chosen based off the chords that you're playing. You're not playing random notes in the right hand, random notes in the left hand, and for some reason they sound good. There's a reason to everything in music, and you'll hear it. I'll play the pre-chorus right now. It's my favorite part of the song, and we're going to go through how the melody works with the chords. So the melody starts with a C sharp and this B, and goes to this E. While I'm playing these 3 notes, I'm playing the C sharp minor chord in the left hand. And I hope you can see that 2 notes in this melody are in the chord in the left hand, the C sharp and the E. And this B is more of like a leading tone, so it doesn't really make a difference that it's not in the chord. It doesn't have to be. It's just not the main focus of the chord, right? It's mainly these 2 notes. Then back to the C sharp over here. Then we play the B again. But while I'm on the B, I'm switching to the E major chord. And the B is part of that chord. And that's why it just sounds so nice when it comes to it. Because at first, I'm playing the C sharp with the B. Then when I switch to the E, it just brings it back home because it fits so perfectly. Now when I play the next part, I'm playing this F with the E. And the E doesn't have an F sharp in it, right? So that's why it sounds a little bit off. But it doesn't sound bad. It just sounds a little bit unsettling. But it's so good because when I'm playing this F sharp, I play this G, I go back to this G sharp, which sounds good with the E. But then I go back to this F sharp, but instead of playing the E again, I'm playing this B. And the B has the F sharp in it. And because it has the F sharp in it, it just sounds so resolved. It sounds like wow, okay, there's so much tension here. And then everything goes back to normal. So the melody is playing off the chords. The chords are there, and the melody is creating tension and then releasing it, going back home, making it sound good and beautiful. And because of that, the song is just incredible. It's a mega hit. So I hope you see that everything in music is connected. All these 4 concepts that I talked about today is all connected with every single song you play, no matter what song you learn. It could be Someone You Loved by Lewis Capaldi. It could be any pop song. And they all have these fundamentals. So learn the 12 major scales, learn the chords in those scales. And when you play songs, think about the melody and how it connects with the chords. Don't learn all 12 scales at once or learn all the chords at once. Just learn songs, as many songs as you can. And eventually you'll encounter all the scales when you learn those songs. And you'll be well-rounded in music theory. Obviously, there's so much music theory that I want to teach you that is out there. But for now, these are the basics. Get these down. It'll take some time. Enjoy the process. And I'll see you in the next video.